Okay, we're gonna try this again. Something happened and it kicked off. Um, well, where do I start? Still being harassed day and night. We're gonna go back to everything. Um, if you go to Walmart, they'll still have the tapes of, February, March of 19 outside the hair salon. There's a man standing there with a lady. He said she talks in riddles, so no one understands her. He said she refers to her husband as playing God. Well, who's God? And she's like, I don't know what you mean. Okay. She said, he said, well, what is God? He holds life and death in his hands. Her secret is her husband is holding her life and death in her hands. He said she talks in riddles so no one understands her. I didn't know how to explain well. So I would tell people I prayed and I left all my problems at God's feet and pray God's will over everything. And then I would even say I could stand in the presence and the will of God and be innocent of everything. I bet I'd never been called a God before. But I didn't know how to explain them. And I was so much horror. I wasn't putting two and two together. And too much was coming at me at one time. Okay? Where the guy had threatened to knife me in Giant Eagle. And the lady got paid to watch me. The other lady had pretended me and cost me that job. And Dave telling me my girlfriend's rich and powerful and her family owns the police and you won't be able to withstand. And then Sarah telling me that Katie left threats in the mall, okay, of the permanent plan to do away with me. That's this. Um, they, I had called the hotline after Dave held me down and told me I hired a man to kill me. And then I overheard that lady on the phone when she didn't hang up of the churches taking up $25,000 to hire the two men to kill me. And then realizing all the attempts on my life was Dave. That all that horror coming, that these weren't random events. That it was him the whole time. So I called the hotline and and I was fetal. I'm 54 years old. I was 50 at the time. I had went fetal or 51 at the time, and I went fetal, complete fetal. Cried like a baby girl till the point I didn't think I had any tears to come out. I called the hotline, took 2 days for Will to call me back. And time he left a number, I was still fetal. Um, I had that African American girl spit in my face and her white boyfriend and her were threatening me and the guy wanted to shame me and Walmart and thinking of the attempted kidnapping, the attempted break-in, um, the attempted carjacking, getting messed up, that it was all him and telling me go a certain way and getting followed and surrounded by Harold Strange's great niece's Facebook friend, that it was all them. It just horror on top of being threatened to be knifed and then, everything else. I had called Sarah and asked her if she had witnessed, and she said yes, and then it was even getting dark, and she was afraid for me. Well, I had bought her a card for getting married, little small gift card, and put Will's number in it, and we took it up to the mall before we went up to Apostolic Church of Barberton. And we went up there and dropped it off, and they put it in our locker. Okay. I think the manager still works there. She probably still remember doing it. I went on to Apostolic Church of Barberton, and Paul Paymer gets in Dave's face in front of 75 to 100 people. My God, I had an FBI agent in my office. He's right there. I walk off. He looks like Judge Timothy. Black hair, dark eyes, black glasses, 5'9", 165, white, late 30s, early 40s. It looks about my kid's size. He was sitting down. Um, Dave and I get into a big fight in the car. You called the FBI on me. I said, what'd you expect me to do? And we get in a big fight, and on the way home. Well, the next day, I'm crying, and I have to get myself together to call Will. Well, I'm talking to Will, and I'm trying to tell him about what a shame, and I think I forgot to tell him about the guy who threatened to knife me in Giant Eagle. Huntington Bank may actually even have it where I opened that account, and the lady getting paid to watch me because he walks out and around me, and I was real close to the bank when he did it. So they have to keep everything for 5 years. But they'll at least have a picture of him walking out and around me. So I was talking, he was talking, and he's offering me this deal if we're oh my God, life of peace, accused of no wrongdoing, nothing legally stated, dated against you again, and only for you will we do this for. We'll always pull up. I have one traffic ticket from 89. They made fun of me in Walmart, the guys. Will gave Karen no wrongdoing in life because she wouldn't abuse it. Okay. That they'll pull it back to the traffic ticket, and when this is over, and only for me would they do this for, put it back as if it never happened. Okay. Let's see. And he even offered to pull me out if it got too bad, and he didn't. He didn't do anything. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. I never had to stay quiet. They wiped that out. They wiped that out completely with telling, finding. And then the only time else I talked to was the secretary. I seen the guy, and Dave had a list, and they were already taping out there that they were going to do Dixie and the baby, and they had a list of people. And then their vehicles got tampered with. Their lug nuts got taken off. Her tire came off when she was driving. They got re-loosened again. They got slashed. They got flattened. Both brake systems of both front tires were played with. Both same bolts were taken off. So when he pulled forward, his tires exploded. She usually takes the vehicle, and he took it by that day, by the grace of God. It blew up on 21. And he barely made it alive. Dixie and the baby went up. And the whole car was gone. They couldn't even say what happened. See, none of this is funny. For the state case, one of the Stark County sheriffs said to another Stark County sheriff in front of me, "Are you interested in working Karen around the house?" He said, "What's that? One of us have to listen to her every day or watch her for the state case to be a witness." Okay, now March 3rd, I make a notation in my phone of they were outside talking to one of the neighbors that they were going to put two clips together and make a porn. I found out they were illegally surveillancing me in my home. Judge Pete from Ravenna, Dave was dating Michelle, his daughter, and then Lauren, a big boob girl, and heavyset, and she was blonde, and a brown hair girl. They're all connected to the guys in the courthouse. It is illegal for any police or FBI even to set up illegal surveillance. It has to be police and hire in a significant investigation, and a real investigation. Somebody makes an accusation, they come talk to you, right? No one came talk to me, ever talk to me about anything dirty. Okay? Never. So, They can't come in and just set up cameras because Dave fucks Georgie daughter. Some guy was down here a month ago. He said, trust me, there's a lot more going on here than fucking Georgie daughter. Okay. They, in real investigations, they have to come out, ask you your part, see if there's a probable cause. If there's a probable cause, they do investigations and they get witnesses. And then they move forward. It can only be like under drugs and other ones to set up tiny cameras in murder cases to set up tiny cameras and watch in your home. They cannot do bathroom, bedrooms, and nudes. What's wrong with this? And they can't have a conflict of interest. Everything. It's them. And it's not admissible. Everything throws it out. Everything throws it out. And they don't share. The guys with the earbuds, trust me, we never share. Okay? I didn't have cameras in my home. Not one. Not one. Not one. Not one camera in my home. I had 3 on the outside. 1 to the front door, 1 to the side yard, and 1 to the backyard. Nothing else. Not a damn bit. I had 2 motion detectors and 2 smoke detectors. That's it. So where would you get a tape of me? Illegal surveillance? The law states you go to jail and you have to compensate me. Where they said they were going to put 2 clips together and make a porn. Yeah. Well, I heard of that porn. It's not funny. And they were saying from simple wiping off water with clothes on, you didn't expose yourself, you're good. 313. Mercy Medical, lady from the agency, showed up. No man was ever to touch her. Okay? And the nurse comes in laughing. They only had on you was adjusting yourself. Right, between April 1st and May 10th, you didn't expose yourself. You're good. Well, then all of a sudden you touched yourself. You exposed yourself. You started being, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. It comes down to no, I didn't. Then I'm thinking they put somebody else's body on mine. You can do that with, think of Pirates of the Caribbean. They have men turning into skeletons, stabbing them with swords, shooting them, and they come back to life and turn back into human beings. It's photoshopping. Anybody with a good computer could do it. Right software. Okay? And then I got to thinking, well, when do you touch yourself? Showering. Washing up. I walked outside a few days ago. Some guy out in the dark was laughing to figure out how they did it. Took a shower scene, put over it. Well, I had reported this one maintenance man at my client's home. He had talked about the tape before and being dirty. He talked about one of those weird guys, Steve or Eric, talking to him that I haven't met yet. Yeah, it's that bad. No officer, no agent, no Steve, Eric, Kurt, Chris, Mark, no Henry, nobody came talk to me. No one. No man, no lady, no one. And when Dave talked to me during the real investigation, Karen, you're good to the kids, you're good to the grandkids, you're good to everyone. Okay? Just to verify everybody was fine. Okay? March 23rd, Walmart 62, 2 agents followed me around for a long time. They come up by the paint aisle. June 23rd, 21. I'm there buying paint right before and after that, okay? They said, what are these people talking about? We interviewed her whole family a long time ago. She never hurt anyone, okay? Girls in the paint aisle on the other end. Oh my goodness, the boys had to drug her and tell her to say that before. No one ever mentions those tapes again. Okay, I had bruises from, I thought it was from moving wood. I was throwing up every time he touched my drinks. Yeah. The people were blatantly breaking in, stabbing me in my sleep in first month after the FBI. I called them. They showed up in Walmart, coming up to me. We always knew you're innocent. Tell someone you're arrested. And told people they had sodium pentothal reports. They don't use it. Talk to police and prosecutors. If you Google false confession sodium pentothal, falsely confessed down the board. It's spy flick movie stuff. You say yes to it, it's lethal, and it's outlawed, and the FDA prohibits any use in humans and not to be brought in the United States. It's used in lethal injections and anthrax. They're not, and it's spy flick movie stuff. Hard telling what was in, they don't drug anybody because of the fifth, okay? So, where are we going to go with this? It's illegal surveillance. One of the officers came up and said some government official was worried about me. Had him come over and check. I told him what they said and what they said they did to me. He's like, don't worry about it. We can't look at one thing before the FBI. I said, but they said they put 2 clips together and made a porn. I don't care. He said, you know what? He said that judge I told him about Judge Pete's daughter, Michelle, and the other girls. He said they can never say anything to your life. They have no right in your home. Don't worry about it. They can't say a word to you. Not a word. Okay? He said they have no right in your home. And the total illegal, you talk about even revenge porn laws, where they put the 2 clips together, they're sending it to people's phones. A whole group of people, we had pulled in Speedway, my new client, and they're saying, tape before. And then all of a sudden, we go out to drive. They swarm us. Fuck you, bitch! It's illegal to even do that. Okay? Now, if you actually call the Massillon police, there's real investigations. My whole family was interviewed. I never hurt John, Josh, or Dan, or any of the 10. We're going to put it that way. I tell them over and over again because they're slow. They are slow around here. And it's raw. I'm not insulting people with disabilities at all. They're willingly retarded people. Riri's. They have not a brain cell between their head. Just air. Melissa's kids, my ex-daughter-in-law that goes to that occult, had her kids make up lies, the real police and hire, and since agents are selling the login for money, they're selling it for $25 a pop. They're stating at Walmart, okay? Told you it's a cesspool. And, a cesspool. And, then people come up to me, hey Karen this, hey Karen this, hey Karen that. Well, they all know Melissa's kids were caught by police and hire on Thanksgiving of 18. Why? Because they were really investigating then, and they said, we're making everything up to Flora. They told Department Bill and me, second one closest to the fence, that they told them they were lying, and they made fun of me for Dave drugging me before on 8-9. The car and the chip picked him up. It's so funny. She finally figured it out. It was Dave that drugged her first and told her the same. May 25th, Louisville Wendy's was talking about the crew. The church people weren't funny, breaking in before drugging her and telling her, say she's a weirdo molester. That's not funny. They did that to her before. They're calling him bastard. My own client told my neighbors Jim and Brian that it was too dark for him, and he heard it. Okay? And I taped them with their permission. And the little old lady at 1295 Fairlawn Middle Apartment screamed at him for doing it. Okay? Now, those amnesia drugs are not funny. My one neighbor, Mike, he got roofied in a bar. He took himself to the bank, took himself out to eat, brought himself home, changed his shoes, sat down on his vehicle, and when he came to his senses, he had no idea how he got out of the bar. He's a big guy. It's not funny. That's how they date rape women. Now, there's a man in, Optical Center, okay? Optical Center of Walmart before, April of 19. It's either Maslin or Stark, it's either Maslin Walmart or the Walmart on West Tusk. He comes in, he's got black hair, 50-ish. He has a baseball hat on. It's me and my men that question you at night. That's why you got bruises. I walked off like you're crazy. You can't break in and stab some lady in the sleep with a needle and tell her to say something stupid. He showed up in May of 19 and at the Louisville McDonald's and act like he even raped me. You can't break in and stab some lady with a needle, tell her to say something stupid, and then rape her and her not know it. It's not funny, and I don't know his name. They leave people's names I've never met. A Steve, Eric, Kurt, Chris, Mark, Henry, Chris. Then there's a Christine. I told you some weird man named Terrence. They said something about him. He jumped out of a shoe aisle. African American man at 62. You'll see him chanting behind me. You know my name. You know my name. If you don't quit praying about everything, I'll make you stand somewhere for 8 hours so you can't pray about anything anymore. I ignored all these people. I don't even know who my stalkers are. Okay? Now, if you want to get the second mean parents that break, they were going to steal everything I had in life. They're at Mark's between of this year, 21, on Cleveland Avenue between March and April. Honey, old couple, I don't want her hurt over this. She won't, honey. Because I'm the swelling from the neurochip. They're waiting for me to die, the stupid vultures. And then there's young girls falling behind me. We know what they tried to say about her, and it didn't work. Yeah, I got good and bad around me. John said when I said there was lights flashing over my house in Ravenna, he's like, Mom, it's angels. And I'm like, angels? He said, they're fighting over your soul. It's like, John, I don't mean enough to anyone. He said, Mom, you just don't realize it's angels fighting over your soul. There's no better way of explaining this. It's good and bad fighting back and forth. These people run by my house like hyenas. Hyenas. They follow me. They come in and they'll yell, Judge Pete this or that. Or they'll yell out some tape before, and there shouldn't be a tape before. My acts during the case, police and hire. Karen, you're good to the kids, you're good to the grandkids, no matter who it is. You've always been good to them. He even said it'd be pretty rotten if Melissa said anything bad about you. And the police and hire were taping. And I taped him too along with him. Trust no man, I took that one to the heart. I had some old ass up in Ravenna come up to me. If you, for every idle word you say, I'll turn it on you. If you tell on us. Silencing an informant or a witness of violent crimes is illegal and another felony. Now, I was down at the Hunger Task Force in Canton, not only this week with my client, but the week before. There was a bald guy there. I seen him in the beginning of the case. He watched me. Okay? He come out, he looked at me and said, it makes my stomach turn to see her in a place like this. We always knew it was them and not her. That's why we never said anything to her. My whole body shook. I could feel my thoughts stuttering. I was so upset. I have been raped. I have been tortured. I have been publicly humiliated. I've been drugged. I was abducted, stabbed in the neck, 12/21/18 at the refrigerator. I got a neurochip in the top of my skull. That's where that colonel and captain comes in. They keep mentioning from that army base. Okay? And they told Dr. Alanatinas on March 13th of this year, 21, that some damn bastard neurochipped me, and he already knew where I got the big dent in my skull and woke up with hair missing and another man's coma and dresser and a dent in my skull. And they show up at Walmart by the TVs. We implanted a neurochip. We can all read your thoughts. And they have cell phones. You can get the group of them. Okay, so it comes with a 20-year sentence. It's outlawed. Our government recognizes it as illegal. U.S. Supreme Court 18-10134 11th Circuit 2005. Our U.S. government recognizes illegal synthetic telepathic war weapons as an illegal strategy for the truth. Remote neuromonitoring and electronic firing links. They tried it in Guanaco Bay and it cost them 20 years of their lives. Our government recognizes it illegal. If you go to FedEx in Belgium within the last month, like November 15th or 11th, there'll be an army guy standing there under tape and audio looking right at me. I was supposed to make it up to her, but they told me to stay out of it. Another guy will come in on the phone. We already knew what they did to her. What is today about? Why try to get copies to send it in to the Canton branch? Makes me feel better. I keep telling them. You know what they do? They send my paperwork back to me. It's like, do you know the prosecutor told me? He told me, he said, Karen, your notes are as good as an investigator. You keep time, dates, and places, and witnesses. He said, your story was a little out there. He said, but I took all your witnesses and I found out everything you said happened to you happened to you. None of this is funny. None of this is funny. If you even go to Belden's tapes of March of 19, there will be people surrounding me, people sitting on benches looking at me. The lady that went out to Dr. Rapika's office in Warren, Youthology Med Spa, yelled at some officers or agents that were mean to me. She's in there with a brown-haired, bearded guy, and he's talking about he could write a bestseller and what happened, call it Karen's Prayers. Paid off dirty agents, a man trying to kill his wife, and men being shot at running. Talk about the gunshot night. The lady's like, she is amazing, and I'd like her to speak when this is over. I stutter. I've been raped and tortured, and they sold the login, and people have that for personal enjoyment. I've had 20, 30 people say that they've seen it. I went out in May to Hartville gas station. They found the tape of the rape. Another guy in Hartville. They could have beat her to death. They've had their children laugh at me. It's funny they raped her. I tried to help the Asian lady, and they tortured me. The idiot that did it claimed he was an agent around me. He didn't show a badge. I didn't talk to him, okay? He followed me around for a long time. He was part of the stalkers between February and April of 19. Food counter, South Pay register. Another man gets him out of my face. The black hair guy, white, brown eyes, black stubbly hair. He's there. And then he's the one mothering me. See, I don't do well. Well, the agents punched me in my private area and punched me up inside because I was going to tell them they tortured me that night. And it was horrible. It was horrible. I have to take bladder spasm medicine from it. See, I don't do well. Yeah, and with being tortured. That idiot had followed me to Macy's and then my church and threatened to arrest me in front of 1,000 people. Faith Family Church has the login where they sold it. A lot of the ushers have it. That idiot threatened to arrest me in front of Faith Family Church, and one of the ushers took care of him. What you did was consider rape, leave her alone. And people are looking at me and him, and I'm sitting down crying, and he's yelling about Dave and everything else, and they're looking at me and him. He drove a dark gray truck, and they would probably even know who he is. There's a video of him doing it with that stalker and an old fight. That white man. See, I talk normal, but if I talk about the torture, I can't breathe. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to stutter. Sometimes I do better than others. I had one of the officers from Louisville showed up and said a government official was worried about me. And I told him about they were saying they taped me unaware before, and that the Judge Pete was involved for his daughter and the other women. He's like, don't worry about it. He said, not one thing before the FBI. They had no right in your home. He said, we can't look at anything before it. They had no right, and we can't look at it. And I said, but they said they put, I don't care. He's like, we can't look at it, and whatever they say they have, we can't look at it. They had no right in your home. I didn't have cameras in my home. I had one on the outside to the front door, one on the outside of the house. I had 3. I had one to the back door, front door, inside yard. Nothing inside. I had 2 smoke detectors and 2 motion detectors. That's it. No cameras. They had no right. Illegal surveillance comes up with a big fine, and then you have to compensate the person you did it to. The way the law states that if somebody accuses you of something, they have to come out and ask you one time if there's a probable cause. And then go talk to your witnesses and see if they're going to start an investigation. And then it has to be police and hire and a significant one like drugs or murder to be in your home at all. Because otherwise they have to do the surveillance outside. Because it's illegal. And then it can't be any bathrooms, no bedrooms, and no nudes, and they can't share. And they can't have a conflict of interest. They brag in front of where I had almost been murdered. The North Canton or Jackson police were working security June of 19. Hills and Dales Road. There was a man in a suit in the back. On the phone, you made up a case to watch her before, really? You did what to her before? That's funny. And then she really likes him and they're mocking me. Um, you can't do this. And then they sold the login to a real state and federal case across the nation, made millions. Now they're trying to get me in trouble. Is that rich? Uh, and then try to extort money out of people for it. It's not funny. They put clips together and made a porn. March 3rd, whatever officer was listening, plus the case is still going on. It will be into the state case. They'll hear them say that. They had no right. My home is not admissible. In the law states, they go to jail and they have to compensate me. Law states don't threaten me with your crimes. You had no right in my home. And any judge being involved for conflict of interest for family or friends is a 10-year sentence and a $1 million fine. 5 judges before tried to destroy 41 lives, had them raped and tried to destroy them, and they went to jail 6 to 20 years. 139 judges refused to excuse themselves for friends and family, and that is the sentence: a 10-year sentence or a $1 million fine, or both. That courthouse could never say anything to my life. They would have had to went to the FBI, and they didn't. Okay. Saturday, outside Walmart, a Canton officer pulled up. I heard Karen in the car. And some voice is screaming, "Don't believe her." Well, one of the Canton officers is his family member goes to that church that helped pay for all those stalkers. Okay? And his mother and father goes there. His sister, I think he has a sister, and his ex-wife, his children all go there. His ex-mother-in-law. He's directly connected to those people that paid for those stalkers. And yeah, they can't say anything either. And there may be a couple of Dave's family members working down there too. Conflict of interest, you can't say anything. And they should know better. This is not funny. It's public corruption on ungodly levels. There's real cases, real good police departments like the Massillon Police. I had, you could even pull the tapes of where I got followed and rounded, or not followed, rounded, but I got rounded in March of 19. I was followed and rounded the year before. By Harold Strange's great niece's Facebook friend. But this one in 19, it was just an auto accident. He rear-ended me, and they pulled me over into the Kmart parking lot. A young African American officer got on his walkie-talkie. "Tell Bruce I'll take care of Karen when she's in town." The Massillon police would always drive by in the undercover vehicles. Like I said, one time I walked out when the undercover police were outside, and you could still hear Dixie and her voices echo from his vehicle. You could hear him taping. So it just, yeah. But the guy got on and said, "Tell Bruce I'll take care of Karen tonight while she's in town." My one prosecutor friend, he said he knew of a Bruce. He was over the drug and gang unit. Somebody drove by, was it last night or the night before? We know she's the victim of an occult that drugged her and tried to murder her before. And these people want to involve themselves with stabbing me with needles, and trying to murder and extort money out of a victim. They're evil on Satan levels. Like I said, I never talked to anybody about anybody dirty. So where would you get your tapes? And I didn't have anything in my house. I mean, there was no cameras. And Dave defended me. You're good to the kids, you're good to the grandkids. You're good to everyone, Karen. I laid my life down to save my family. That was my secret. The big secret for Dave was playing God. And I was trying to get him caught. For Karen, realize I will kill everything you loved in life. Realize, and I thought, over my dead body. You will go through me before you kill me and my children and my grandchildren. I laid my life down. I almost got shot in the head driving. It's documented the first month. After I called the FBI, they argue in Walmart that they had to leave me in high danger. The guy running it would let them pull me out. They also, after the gunshot night, that they had to leave me in high danger. There'll be 2 African American agents breaking. They stayed out of it because Dave's girlfriend, gunshot night, because Dave's girlfriend's prettier, and the guy running it didn't blame him. Then find out it's her father, old white guy at gray hair, mustache, at Woodforest with a group of people. We had backup. They said none of this is funny. They're actually dead. The Asian lady, October 5th, Macy's, she leans in at the men's cologne counter. I told these people to stop saying stuff to her. I found out she's trying to get us help. October 12th of this year, Save a Lot, some lady comes in. The lady found out she was beat trying to get her help. No one's to say anything to her. Like I said, September 20th or June 23rd this year, Walmart by the paint counter. I buy paint that day and a couple other days. 2 investigators follow me around for years. What are these people talking about? Long time ago, we interviewed her whole family. She never hurt anyone. Then there's girls by on the other side of the paint rollout. Oh my goodness, the boys had a drugger make her say that stuff. Nobody says anything about those tapes. Somebody had bragged that they got me so high they dressed me and put me in a chair. I didn't know they did it. Roofies aren't funny. Amnesia drugs, like family physician said. There's a whole list of them, and you never remember. They can be as mean as they want to me, and I'm like, oh my God, you did what? Oh my God, you did what? And like they said in Plato's Closet on the 9th of November between 2 and 2:45, they gave her those amnesia drugs she'll never remember. Lady comes in, mentors. I found out they made everything up, and I don't want these boys to say anything to her. I mean, I can keep going. October 5th, Huntington Bank, Cleveland Avenue, 1:53 p.m. I don't want Melissa to get no money out of this. That's okay. They knew that. They made everything up. They just didn't want anybody to help her. Massillon police will tell you it's a documented mean game of pretend, and my whole family was interviewed, and I never hurt anyone. It's not funny that on 8-9, the apartment building for me, second one close to the fence, that they came running out. So funny, Dave drugged her before and told her to say it. 8:15 at night, the car and Chip picked him up. Did you know he fentanyled her and told her to say it before? No, we just found out. We just found out that they found out the kids were lying. 1290, we didn't know that they knew the kids were lying, so they thought they'd make a buck off of a roofie. May 25th, Louisville in town. It's not funny that the church people broke in before, drugged her, and told her to say weirdo molester stuff. My old client told Jim and Brian, my neighbor, that he heard it and it was too dark for him. A bunch of people in town were calling him bastards. Taped Jim and Brian with their permission of hearing it. 1295 Fairland Middle Apartment, little white lady screamed at for him, and she's talked to several people too. And that apartment building for mine, they've testified to several people with badges. Mercy Medical, I took my client in there this last month. They, well, the nurses were laughing. Boy, we know they drugged her before and told her to say it. They'd have that tape and audio also. There's, they sold the login across the nation. Yeah, even one of Daniel's teacher, my grandson, he got back in the vehicle last year, and she looked over he said hi to her. He said, that's one of my teachers. He got in the car and she's talking to someone and said, no, everybody knows what's going on but her family. Faith Family Church would know who that is that raped me. Where the guy acted like, kept telling people he was an agent and I wouldn't talk to him. He had followed me around for a long time. I told you the man that was smothering me is a stalker, and he's got black, stubbly hair, brown eyes. He's white. He's at the self-pay register at Walmart 62 by the food counter, and another man gets him out of my face. The one that was claiming he was an agent, he drove a dark gray truck, and he was the one punching me in my private area and punching me up in the sides when I passed out. And that white man told him to sit me up, and they poured something in my mouth, and my arms went straight down, and they beat and smothered me till I said what they wanted. Before that, and I told you he showed up at Faith Family Church. He had followed me in Macy's and my church, and then threatened to arrest me and called me a whore. And the guy in my church one of the ushers got in his face and said, what you did was consider rape and leave her alone, and yelled about Dave and everything else. And I'm crying so hard I sat down, and people are looking at me and him. The ushers would probably even know who he is. And then I got threats at Berry Cheese. If I opened my mouth again, they do it. Some guy, Keith, would do it to me again. I don't know who Keith is either. I don't know any of these people. I do need help. If he's not an agent, he's probably a dirty undercover officer from that courthouse. There's videos of the case. Maslin, please to give it to you. And Little Faith Family Church. They sold it. I told you, across the nation. It's horrible. A lot of good people showed up though. Washington, Wyoming, California, Texas, Florida, North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, Indiana, Illinois, Tennessee, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and New York. There was quite a few good people and only a few bad. If you go to Belden, if they still have their tapes of March of 19, you'll see them around me. And even State, they were there for me. Even the lady that was at Dr. Rapika's office in Warren that yelled at him was with another guy talking about writing a book on what happened and calling it Karen's Prayers. We are coming up on the third anniversary of the gunshot night. I've been trying to get justice down here. I tried in 19 and I got tortured and wanted to stay quiet. There was an old white man. For every idle word you say, I'll turn it on you if you tell on us. And silencing an informant or a witness of violent crimes is a felony too. Sending their two clips together made a porn and sending it to people's phones is another felony. I, I told you on March 13th at Mercy Medical, I went there also. A lady from the agency showed up, told a nurse the only thing they had on me was adjusting myself, and then Rite Aid in town between April 1st and May 10th. You didn't expose yourself, you're good. And then the porn they're talking about, where they added the shower scene where you just wash yourself, I guess that's what they photoshopped. And I guess it's sick because you're showering, and then they cropped it. Think of Pirates of the Caribbean. They turn into skeletons. They shoot them, they stab them, then they're alive again. They can Photoshop everything. I didn't know they did it. I haven't seen the video yet. I don't want to ever see it. Ever, ever. ever the thought made my stomach bleed in March for a couple days. There's my old client has a girlfriend on 13th Street in Canton, 1233 13th Street, where my stomach was bleeding. Some idiot made fun of her. She's been pooping out blood for days because she can't handle this and walks in. Another guy sitting on the front porch looks at his phone, looks up at me, and said, I'm not interested in this. They had a choker before. I was at Dollar General a couple Sundays back. Some young kid is talking to its mom by the dollar food aisle and says, you need to get a hold of Will and get someone down here. I seen one of those tapes from before they were really abusing her. I did wake up with a 4-inch gash on my leg. I called Dave and I said, because my leg was bleeding. I woke up and my leg was bleeding. And he's like, well, yeah, I got it torn. It was open as wide as a pencil. I had to bandage it. He had even cut me in my sleep, and I didn't wake up. You don't with roofies. People rape you and everything else, and you are sleepwalking. Um, and you'll never remember. Like the little girl said in Plato's Closet, they gave her amnesia drugs. She'll never remember. They can be as mean as they want to me, and I have no idea. I was in the hunger task force this week and the week before with my new client. There was a ball guy that had watched me in the beginning. The case came out and said it makes my stomach turn seeing her in a place like this. We always knew it was them that did it before. That's why we never said anything. Where they made the clips and the drugs. Um, my whole body was shaking. My thoughts were shaking. I was so upset. I've lived in hell, and nobody's got me out of here, and you knew it. I was just like, kind of thing. And I go home, or I take my new client to his new apartment. We're looking at it. And then we go to home, back to his apartment. And I stay an extra hour. I come out at 4. And the maintenance man, where he had said dirty stuff about the tape before, he was talking about Dave drugging me in my sleep to people and laughing at me. Okay. Um, he's on the phone. He has his head away from me. Okay. He said, he said, that tape before was them, not her. Wow. What's going on? It's a group of men doing as many crimes as they can to see if someone will actually stop them. Is that what's going on? It is. Someone needs to get down and help me. It's not funny. What if they implanted something else besides a neurochip? If you even go to CSE, I start, what is it, in November of 19. Within the first month, there'll be men in the entranceway with a cell phone, okay? They'll look up and where I think some guy's an idiot, they'll look over at me and say, she thinks he's an idiot. Come on, let's go. And they take the cell phones. They'll also, by the manager, with the first 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, there'll be a man there. He walks up to me, and the only thing I ever got out of you was your informant. I don't know these people, and they were letting people break in my house while I'm asleep and stab me with needles, and I had my doors locked. And they would even undo my bedroom door lock. The only thing that stops them is locking the doors. I need help here. And like one guy said, I've talked to all your witnesses and none of this is funny. I've heard them talk about it. It's not. I have witnesses across the board. If you go March 13th at Altman Hospital, I walk in, there'll be people that have been following me around for years. They're phoning off. You'll pay me how much? You'll settle with me for how much? Okay, and then walk out. Next person phone go off. They're paying people off. A lady from an agency comes in, and they call the guys when they talk about the agency, they'll say Karen's Will. The lady comes in and says, I'm here for Karen's Will agency. Chipped her. Is that why she's here? The receptionist says. You can watch her do it. Old woman comes up. The agency wanted the truth out of you. Shut up. What did I just say? Our government recognizes it illegal. It's got a 20-year sentence. I go in the back and I have swelling pulling down here where it's draining from the crack. You can see they cut the wires in the crack on a CT scan, okay? And it does come, Louisville police said it comes up government chip. And a Canton officer walked by and his phone dinged, and it had my information. Okay, so in a restaurant of all things, um, I go in the back and Dr. Alan Natina's there. I tell him I may have a chip, and I didn't want to go into the great details. There's a man standing outside my room. He's like some dead bastard neurotripter. He's like, we already know. Tape and audio, you can pull all my hospital tapes. Emergency medical, I had a CT scan, would die. A few days later, it hurt like hell. I mean, hurt like hell. The lady from the hospital said, I bet it did hurt when they hit that chip. Um, and you can see the wires in the crack. The hospital did say if they took the chip out and the swelling in my brain will go back to normal. Some idiot went to insult me there, and they said, look, we all know some ass chipped her. If you don't believe me, come down here. It's wide open. If you don't believe me, come down here. It's wide open. Actually investigate. Look at my witnesses. Everything's wide open. If you go to FedEx, within the last month, by November 15th, 11th or 15th, I'm doing copies. There's an Army guy in there looking right at me. I was supposed to make it up to her today. And after what they did to her, but they told me to stay out of it. Another man walks in on the phone, tape and audio in FedEx in Belgium. We already knew what they did to her. What is today about? Why I was sending it in. I need help. Somebody needs to help me. It comes down to no damn excuse. You can't abuse a corpse in the United States. You can't abuse a corpse. You can't abuse animals, and you can't abuse even somebody in prison, let alone I'm a victim of a cult that they try to have murdered, drugged, and framed, and a dirty judge and his little whore in the store in Ravenna that her mama break they did all this for, Michelle, Judge Pete's daughter, and then witnesses saying that's for her, and her own damn mother breaking. I was down at Fine Arts and Lasers and in Dover, and there's a guy standing outside my room talking. We found that tape of that idiot woman bragging they did all this for her daughter. They did. Yeah, Memorial Day weekend 2019 food counter. I told you Walmart still has them. And they have everything. There'll also be, by February of 19, there's people running around saying they're handlers. I don't have a handler. I'm an informant. And people didn't show badges, and if you don't show badge, you ain't shit. There is a white guy with black eyes, heavy set, 250, with an African American man standing watching me get my hair cut, giving me dirty looks, running around telling people they were handlers. Okay, I don't have handlers. There was a bald guy with a red beard and glasses with a crazy blonde lady claiming she's a psychiatrist, and he's claiming he's a handler, and they're nothing but actors. They were in Bob Evan. And then that crazy blonde lady was with that dark hair guy, fat dark hair guy with glasses that was in Verizon making fun of me. And then that black hair guy, September 15th, I get my hair done at Shine Salon. He walks beside my car and walks behind Altworks with a guy, and he said something to a guy, if that's what you're going to be doing to her, I don't want any part of this. Yeah, and they left. A whole group of people. They're trying to hurt me again. They say I won't live till Christmas. They have something else planned. The chip needs to come out. They were telling people they were selling me online to the highest bidder. I'm old and ugly. Nobody wants me. Chip mind reading is priceless. Muslim women showed up within 2 weeks of it, following me around. Full headdress, only see the eyes. They've been following me on and off for 3 years. They even drove by Loretta's. They followed me out to Dr. Rapika's. Now, I was there probably twice, around the first of the year, and then I think again in March. They're there, they have their head scarves on. They say, they look right at me. We want to see what she looks like. Well, when I started swelling in March, they weren't there. There was no one in there. Some white car pulled up. A lady pulls up and gets on the phone. Tell Dr. Lazarus she's in trouble. Who's Dr. Lazarus? Is that a code word? Or is that the doctor that did it to me? Because they 12/21/18 in the neck. There's real tapes of real investigations. Call the Massillon police. Call Faith Family Church. Their ushers will give it to you. You want witnesses? I got them across the board. I got doctors. I had Senator Scheuring. Senator Kurt Scheuring had a man look into it, where that idiot told Paymer and a couple of his dirty friends that they know that they did crimes against me. Okay? Somebody needs to come down here and fix this. That lady said she lost her husband. Some guy said he's crippled over the gunshot night. And these idiots for roofing me and photoshopping me and illegally taping me in my home for a bloody whore he found in a store in Ravenna. That's a Judgy Poo Pete daughter. And a bunch of other little whores, a little prostitution ring run out of that courthouse. It ain't funny. Nobody ever talked to me about one thing dirty. And if there was a real accusation, they would have asked me my part. They didn't, like the guy said. They made it all up. None of this is funny. You want to come down and actually have a big, huge case? It's on levels of promotion and pay raises. You nail these asses and they'll tell you they did it to me. Please come help me.